Hare Krishna. Good evening to all of you, and welcome to our weekly systematic study of Bhagavad Gita session under Gita Amrutam Rasamalyam. So today we are going to start a new chapter, that is chapter 8 of Bhagavad Gita, titled Attaining the Supreme, and also known as Akshara Brahma Yoga. So today is session number 46, and I'm very pleased to welcome some new participants. Shanti Mataji and her good husband Ramchandran also have joined, who were recently added to our Gita Amritam group. So welcome to both of them. And we hope we'll have some more participation coming around as we proceed. So with this, I will just get started. So our Goloka Express is now halting at station number 8, which is the station of Akshara Brahma Yoga, or attaining the Supreme. And the journey here, Krishna will really teach us the art of science, art and the science of living and dying. And this train is all about our family, Goloka Express. And our entire family is growing big, more than 100 people now in the family group. And each journey is enjoying, and with every station, we are actually welcoming new passengers also. And the beauty of Bhagavad Gita is that even if somebody hops in at station number 7, 8, or 9, they can catch up. It's not that they have missed something and they cannot understand, because Krishna is going in such a beautiful pace that every message that he gives, even if we take a small bit of that understanding and apply it to our lives, that is going to make our life perfect. So as we usually do, we love Goloka Express. We love Goloka Vrindavan, because in Goloka Vrindavan, every step is a dance and every word is a song. And unlike in material world, in Goloka Vrindavan, every day is a festival. So we all love and we want to go back to Goloka Vrindavan, and hopefully this journey will take us someday into this particular endeavor of fulfilling this. Before I get started, let me pay my respectful, humble respects to my dear beloved Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Bhakti Swarupa Damodar Swami Maharaj, the founding director of Bhaktivedanta Institute, and Dr. T.D. Singh Institute of Science and Religion, which is both are actually scientific wing of ISKCON. And Srila Bhakti Swarup Damaswami Maharaj is a scientist disciple of the founder Acharya of ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada, who is always at the lotus feet of Krishna, Balram, and through them we get the inspiration and knowledge to understand the scriptures in the most bona fide way. Otherwise, without their help and support, I will not be able to speak anything on this matter. So with these words, I would just like to utter my obeisances to them with a small invocation prayer, so that we feel very auspicious in starting today's session. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagarjadam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिस्वरूपदामोदर स्वामिन् इति नामिनि नमस्सद्भक्तमणि मणिपुरोद्भवाय च श्रीलप्रभुपादलसतवाणी प्रचारिणे रतायते नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन् इति नामिनि Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकायै तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणिं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीकृष्णचैतन्य ईश्वरम्. So welcome all once again for this today's weekly session. And this is the last week that we're going to have on Sunday because it's the end of Purushottam month. And from next week onwards, we will revert back to our earlier day of Saturday. So people who were not part of our earlier programs would not know this, that our usual program is on Saturdays between 7 p.m. to 8:15 p.m. But only for this particular month, which is called as the Purushottam month, we made some adjustments and we rescheduled it to Sunday instead of Saturday because the Zoom channel, which we are conducting now, it belongs to Arjun Saka, my second son, and he was conducting some other Bhagavad Gita sessions on Saturdays, along with other days also, of course. So with this, I'll get started in today's discussion. Let me just get the screen right because I'm not able to see my own face here. 1 second. Yeah, it seems to be okay because in the recording, we have to see the speaker also. Otherwise, it will be only the slides on the screen. So we are going to start chapter 8. As I said in the beginning, this is going to be a very, very interesting chapter. And we are going to learn a lot, plenty of life lessons. And even if we have missed some of the earlier chapters, never mind, because this chapter is going to be a defining moment of our journey in human life and how we should, plan ourselves for the final time. That is what we call as the examination, final examination, which is also technically termed as death. So we will see how through Krishna's teaching, we are going to master this art of both living and also dying. It is not enough just to master the art of living, but we should also master the art of dying. Because if the dying is also glorious, then what more we need? Because the purpose of the life is basically achieved when we know what is our goal of life and where we want to go, how we want to shape our life, and then that defines how we are going to leave our body also, and also how we are going to remember our final moments of life. That's basically the master of art of dying. So mastering that. So Bhagavad Gita 8.1 to 8.7 that we're going to cover today will give us a good insight. Krishna is giving us a lot of insights here. So this is the beginning of his messages, and the rest of the chapter in 8th chapter will also be focusing on this particular topic only. A quick summary, as we customarily do when we begin a new chapter, we want to see the link between the previous chapter and the uh, present chapter. So what did in essence chapter 7 give us that we should know so that we'll be better situated to receive chapter 8 also. So actually, the first 6 chapters, as we all understood, were primarily giving us the knowledge that we, the living entity, we are actually non-material. We are spirit soul, and therefore we can be elevated through a proper consciousness through self-realization. And then Krishna taught us different types of yoga in that. And by the end of the 6th chapter, Krishna also expressed out of all the different types of yoga, he says Madgatenantar Atmana, which yoga is actually the most recommended that his personal opinion he gave. Okay, so that we understood. And then from 7th chapter onwards, Krishna started talking about his own greatness, hmm, whether it was revealing about himself or whether about his sweet pastimes. So there are two aspects which we understood in the seventh chapter. So where Krishna revealed about his Krishna gave us the jnana, that is basically his greatness through his different manifested energies. And then Krishna also gave us a glimpse of Vijnana, that is his sweetness, of his personality. So both were actually introduced in the seventh chapter. And as we know, some of the very important verses were covered in the seventh chapter. Like, for example, Krishna started the seventh chapter by saying that Maya Sakta Manapartha Yogam Yunjan Madasharaya Ashamshaya Samagramam Yata Jnasyasi Tat Shrunu. That means he told Arjuna, Shrunu, now you hear about my greatness. And only, so this is not about the pride of a person, it's about the reality. Like if you want to know about who the managing director of the company is, what he likes, what he dislikes, what are his powers, where his empire is spread across in the country or in the world, he is the best person to answer. Of course, you can hear from his associates, but sometimes there can be some slight distortion too. But if you get a chance to hear directly from him, and if he puts his arm around you and he's explaining everything to you, then that becomes like a final authentic knowledge. So here, Krishna is basically doing the same thing to Arjuna, virtually revealing his heart to him. And then he also says in 7.3 that Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhanam kaschin mam vedi tatvata. That means out of this, entire creation, his greatness can be understood by hardly few people, very few. Kaschid itati siddhi. His greatness is not so cheap. So we have to put in efforts, endeavor, then only we'll understand him. And then he goes on to give his greatness of his energies. Like he mentions, there are two types of energy. One is the inferior energy, which is Bhumi, Rapo, Analo, Vayu, Kham, Mano, Buddhi, Revacha, Ankara, Itiyam Me, Bhinna Prakriti, Rashtrada. That means he talks about the eight inferior energies, which are primarily earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and ego. And then he talks that apart from that, there is a superior energy. Aparayam itestanyam prakritim vidhi meparam. So that is basically the living entities. We, the living entities, are superior to come out to this inferior energy that he spoke in the previous verse. And then he says this superior energy is exploiting the inferior material nature. And then he goes on to talk about his uh, sweetness also in greatness rest. He says as Mata Parataram Nanyat. That means there is no comparison to him. No one is equal or even superior to him. Forget being equal. No one comes near him. So Mata Parataram Nanyat. Kinchit Asti Dhananjaya. Mayi Sarvam Idam Proktam Sutre Mani Gana Iva. That means he says that all these inferior and superior energies that he spoke previously, they all rest on him like pearls strung into nice thread. And the thread is not seen, but the pearls are seen. So, in other words, he says he represents that thread and he connects all his energies together. And there is no truth that is superior to this truth. And then he mentions that now some of his sweetness also is coming. He gives 14 examples in the process where he says that one, he compares that the taste in water, rasomapsu kaunteya, that is him. Prabhashami shashi surya, that is the light of sun and moon. Pranava sarva vedeshu, that is the om pranava of all the vedas, that is him. Shabda ke, that is the sound in the ether. And paurusham nishu, the ability of man, that is also coming from Krishna. Then he gives his greatness also by saying that I am the original fragrance of earth, I am the heat in fire, I am the life of all that lives, I am the penance of all aesthetic, I am the original seed of all existences. Uh, then I am the intelligence of the intelligent, then I am the prowess of all powerful men. So Bijam Mam Sarva Bhutanam. Then he says that Balam Balavatam Chaham. Then he says, I am the strength of strong, that is devoid of all passion. Hmm? Then he says, I am the sex life. So the sex life that is contrary that is not contrary to religious principles. That is kama raga vivarjitam. Dharma avrido bhuteshu. That is basically Krishna. Kamosmi, he says. And then in 14th verse, he says, this divine energy of mind, consisting of three modes of nature, is entirely under my control. That is Daivi Hesha Gunamai Mama Maya Duratyaya. And then who can overcome that? Mam Eva Ye Prapadyante. The one who is surrendered to me, he can easily cross this material ocean. That is what he gives his knowledge. And then he gives a classification of people where he says that there are people who worship other gods, but they are of small intelligence. They worship demigods. Why they are small intelligence? Because the fruits that they receive from the benedictions of these demigods, they are temporary. Because demigods also are not eternal. They have got a long lifespan, but they are not eternal. So therefore, the benediction which they give might look appealing, attractive, but then it is temporary. And at the most, the topmost benediction you can get is you can go to the heavenly planets, and then again after that you can come down to earth planet only. But if you worship me, he says, huh, you automatically come to me. Mad bhakta yanti mam api. That means if you worship me, you automatically get my nature, you reach my supreme abode. And then he also says that there are people who are unintelligent because they don't know me perfectly. They know me as just the impersonal energy, and they think that that energy is me. But Krishna clearly reveals that that energy comes from him. So he is energetic and energy belongs to him. So if we, instead of we say that looking at the sunlight, that sunlight is sun, and then we ignore the main sun planet, that is not intelligent. That's what he says. So there are some people, he says, who consider the energy as the supreme, and they start worshipping the energy. So that is not, and that is an impersonal nature. So that is not an intelligent, those people are not intelligent. And he also says in verse 25 that I am not manifest, Naham Prakasha Sarvasya. To such intelligent, unintelligent people and to such foolish people, I don't manifest myself. And I cover myself with the internal potency, and therefore they'll never be able to see me in the original form. And then what he says, uh, then he says that I am the supreme personality. He says, I know everything that has happened in the past. Vedaham Samitadani. That I know the past, I know Bhavishyami, I know Bhutani, everything. Past, present, future, whatever is happening, everything I know. And I also know all the living entities, but me, no one knows. So again, here he talks about his greatness, and only the devotees who are very closely surrendered to him and who understand him, they are able, given that vision, to know him. Then he says in the conclusion that persons who have acted piously in the previous life and in this life, and whose sinful reactions are completely eradicated, are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination. That means he is now very slowly introducing Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is completely immersing yourself in the devotional service of the Lord and immersing yourself in the pastimes of the Lord. In different mellows, you can exchange the rasa with him. So he says this is possible only when in the previous life all your sins have been eradicated, and you've acted piously in your previous life. You act piously in this life, then there's a good chance that he will reveal these things to us. And then there's a link that is actually linking between the seventh chapter and the eighth chapter that we are talking today. And that link is introducing seven different terminologies to Arjuna in verses 7.29 and 30, where he mentions some specific terms or specific things like Brahma, Adhyatma, Karma, Adi Bhuta, Adi Deva, Adi Yagya, and how to remember him at Prayana Kale, that is towards the end, at the time of death. what one gets. So all those things very briefly introduces. So this arouses curiosity in Arjuna's mind, and that sets the stage for chapter number 8. And that's where now we are, and we're going to start this. So here, Krishna is once again preparing us for the next chapter actually. So Krishna beautifully prepares us, because in the next chapter, chapter 9, Krishna is very clearly saying that uh, when you worship what you get. Like he says, Yanti Deva, Vrita Deva. If you worship the Devatas, you go to their planet. And then if you Pitran Yanti, Pitran with Vrita. That means if you worship your forefathers, you go to their planet. Bhutani Yanti Bhutejaya. That means if you worship the ghosts and spirits, you go to them. But Yanti Madhyajino Apimam. That means if you worship me, you come to me, you get my nature. This is, dear devotees, the real art of dying. So this he will talk in detail in chapter 9. But to that, now Krishna is preparing a stage by talking few things that is linking that to chapter 9 in this chapter itself. So let's see. So the acronym for this chapter is DEAD, or in short, dead. So D for doubts. So verses 1 to 4 of this chapter will be all doubts about Arjuna, what doubts he has, he wants to clarify. And then verses 5 to 8, Krishna actually gives answers to those doubts. And the process, he is also saying what one should do to get the ultimate destination, that is spiritual abode at the time of death. And then 9 to 22, he talks about attaining the supreme, that is A. And then finally, the last D, that is devotion, where he introduces Bhakti Yoga in full-fledged way to prepare for chapter 9. So that is verses 23 to 28 of this chapter. He talks about devotion. So, so in this way, we understand the flow. Now, before we go to the first verse, I would like to narrate a very beautiful story which glorifies this particular chapter. And this story is actually the story that Lord Shiva narrates himself to goddess Parvati, and it is found in Padma Puran. And the beauty of this story is that even if one attains, or even if one utters half, hmm, half of the verse, then you can actually clearly smash the karma. Whatever karma you have accumulated, that can be smashed. That is what this story is narrating, and that is the power of this particular chapter. So the story goes like this, dear devotees. In in the south part of India, there is a small town. It is called as Amaradakapur. Amaradakapur. So in this particular town, there lived once a Brahmana who was not a very good Brahmana. In the sense, he did not possess the Brahminical qualities. His name was Bhavasharma. Now, this Brahmana eventually was eating meat. He was drinking wine, and then he was enjoying with the prostitute. Then sometimes stealing from some places. All sorts of abominable activities he was doing. And one day he was invited to some party. He drank all night, and next day he started vomiting. Alcohol started coming out from his mouth, and then soon he fell sick, and he suffered for some time, and then he died. Now, what happened when he died? He basically took the body of a tree. That's a palm tree. Because it is said in the shastras that people who like to display their body, like especially nudism and all that, which is popular in the Western culture, uh, they get the body of the tree, because a tree is something that is not it's open, it's not protected in any way. So this Brahmana had all those kind of filthy qualities, and he ended up becoming a tree in this next life. And he got the tree of this palm tree, that is a date palm tree. And what happened was, he was he was actually thinking what is to be done now. he knows that he made a mistake, but he got this tree body. Now he has to come out of this tree body also. As it would be, there was two ghosts. This is a couple ghosts wandering about different places. They were hungry, thirsty, looking for food. They were actually like Brahma Rakshasas. You know, so these two ghosts, they were actually in the previous life, they had also had an history. So these two ghosts in the previous life were by the name Kushibal and Kumati. So Kushibal was the male and Kumati the female. They were highly learned Brahmana, but this Brahmana was very greedy Brahmana, and this lady who was married to this Brahmana, Kumati, she was a bit evil-minded. So even though they were in the Brahminical family, but they were not having all the Brahminical qualities. They too had a problem. So this Brahmana, he used to extract in the name of charity. See, Brahmanas are allowed to take charity, but they should also give back charity. It's not that they just do certain activities for charity purpose. They should also give back the charity. So here he was only trying to take charity, and he was exploiting his Brahminical qualities to attain charity. Now that is not a good qualification or a good nature for a Brahmana. And this lady, his wife, was also evil minded, and she was trying to exploit in different ways whatever charity he was getting. So in the end, what happens? Both became ghost, and they were virtually, haunting in those places for want of food, thirst, and all those things. And it so happened that they came and they sat next to this particular tree that is of Bhava Sharma, who was already a palm tree. And when they came there, and this lady was asking, this lady ghost was asking her husband ghost that now how do we get out of this situation? There has to be some way. So the Brahmana said, because he was a Brahmana, he was already learned in the previous life. So, I mean, when he was before dying, so he said that the only way is to, understand a certain tattva. That is, we should understand the Brahma, we should understand ourselves, we should understand our karma, we should understand the Lord, Purushottama, all that. So, so when the lady goes, she heard that, she uttered this first verse of this particular chapter. Kim tad Brahma, Kim Adhyatmam, Kim Karma, Purushottam. So all that she said, the moment she said that, sitting under this particular tree, this Bhava Sharma, who is now trapped in the body of a tree, he heard that, and his karma was completely shattered, and he came out of the tree, and he became free. Free means he got once again a human body. So he came out of the tree body and he became a human being just by hearing. Okay, just by hearing, and not even the full verse, just 50% of the verse she uttered, which he heard. Now, what happened to this ghost? When she uttered that, it was so potent, this particular verse, that Pushpa Viman from Vaikunta came. As you can see in that slide, a Pushpa Viman from Vaikunta dawned upon them, and they both went in the Pushpa Viman and they got Vaikunta. That was the potency. And then this Brahmana thought, wow, this is very good. So let me, my karma is now shattered. I've once again got the human body. So he went and sat on the banks of Ganges. And then he started reciting this half verse which he had heard in the tree body. It's like a ripple effect. And he went on, hearing this, and he went on uttering it. And when he did that continuously, he also got liberated. So this whole thing, because how he got liberation was because he was constantly uttering this mantra. And then Vishnu in the Vaikuntha Loka became restless. And then Lakshmi Devi asked him, "Oh, Guru, you're supposed to take rest now. Why are you waking up?" He said, "No, no, my devotee is constantly remembering me. So let me go and rescue him." So he comes down and he rescues him and takes him back to Vaikuntha. So this supreme fortune that this Bhavasharma got just by hearing and then by uttering, this was described by Lord Shiva to Parvati. He says, "I have just described to you a little of the glories of chapter 8 of Srimad Bhagavatam." Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So this is the greatness of this chapter. With that, we will take a deep dive into chapter 8. So we'll take the first two verses together because it's actually a continuation. In the first verse, Arjuna is asking 5 questions, and in the second verse of this chapter, he is asking the remaining 3 questions. So what is the first verse? Arjuna Vacha, the same thing what those ghosts were uttering. Now that is the verse that is coming up. Kim tad brahma kim adhyatmam kim karma purushottama. So this is that half verse. Then adi bhutam cha kim proktam adi devam kim uchyate. So what does this verse say? So here Arjuna is asking. I mean, this is actually what he was referring in the previous chapter towards the end, because Krishna had introduced this terminology. So now Arjuna is directly asking Krishna, "Oh Krishna," he's saying, "What is Brahman? Kim tad Brahma? Kim Adhyatmam? What is this self? Adhyatmam? What are the fruitive activities? That is Kim Karma Purushottama." Now he's addressing Krishna as Purushottama. What is this material manifestation? Adi Bhutam Cha Kim? And what are the demigods? Adi Devam Kim? So these are the question he's saying, asking. But the first important thing we should know is that now he's addressing Krishna as Purushottama. The entire Bhagavad Gita, you will see that Krishna is addressed by different names. Keshava, Madhava, then now Purushottama, somewhere else Madhusudana. So Purushottama here has got a significance because it's Purush and Uttama. Purush means somebody who is a male and who's a supreme enjoyer. And Uttama is the topmost. So a male is supposed to enjoy and a female is supposed to be enjoyed, like Prakriti. So Purusha enjoys Prakriti. So in that, the topmost Purusha is Lord Himself. Therefore, it is called Purushottama. He is a supreme enjoyer. He is the ultimate enjoyer. The analogy can be, see, when a mother, let's say, feeds a baby. hmm, Now the baby receives and the mother gives. But the mother derives more happiness than the baby, because the selfless service that the mother is now giving the baby, that gives pristine joy. That's a supreme joy. So here Krishna is selflessly giving joy to the entire world. Hence, he's the topmost enjoyer. That gives him joy. So in that sense, he's an enjoyer. And therefore, he's a Purushottama. So Arjuna is, even though now Krishna is already in friendly way to him, but he's addressing him as Purushottama. Another inference that Acharyas comment that Krishna, why Arjuna is saying Purushottama, because Arjuna has got so many doubts. So only the Uttama person can clear all his doubts. Now, a friend, when you talk to in a friendly way, sometimes the friend will ignore it. So Krishna is friend, but by addressing him as Purushottama, now he's giving him that position that you are a supreme person. So you are the best person to answer all my doubts in a perfect way. So that is why this word Purushottama is coming. Now we will understand and try to see. So the remaining part of the questions, it's all basically questions. He's asking what is Brahman, Kim Brahma, Kim Tad Brahma, Kim Karma, what is this material manifestation, what are the activities, hmm? Kim Adi Bhutam, and what are the demigods, Kim Adi Devam. And then the second verse, he says, Adi Yagya Katam, Adi Yagya. So what is Adi Yagya? Then Dehesmin Madhusudana. Now he's addressing Krishna as Madhusudana. So Adi Yagya Katam Kotra Dehesmin Madhusudana Prayana Kale Chakatam Neyosi Niyatatmabi. So here the remaining questions. What is that? This question number 6. What is the Lord of sacrifice? That is Adi Yagya. Then how does he live in the body? So he's asking that question also. So what is that? Dehesmin, Kotra Dehesmin. So this person who is Adi Yagya, Kotra Dehesmin. So So he says, where does he live in the body? And then finally he says, Prayana Kale Chakatam. So in the final exam, that is the important part of our today's discussion. How can you be known, or how can one remember you, O Krishna? Hmm? Nyayosi Niyatmanim. That means the person who is already, your devotee, or who is performing your devotional service. Huh? Niyat, Niyat Atmabi. The person who is performing devotional service. How will he remember you at the time of death? These are the very pertinent and practical question he's asking, and these are also our questions. Uh, so we can see what Krishna answers. So Krishna gives an answer to all that in verses 3 and 4. So let's go to verses 3 and 4. So first of all, before we jump into verse 3, we should understand that here something important is being touched upon. Because when we talk about Prayana Kale, that means at the time of death. So death is something that is basically expiry, you know. But the beauty is that we as living being, we don't know our expiry date. Unlike all the other products, in the market, like if it's a medicine or a drug, we know that it's got a manufacturing date, there is an expiry date. If it's a consumer product like Maggie, Colgate, soap, Lifebuoy, or biscuits, etc., each one you'll see at the end there is a label. There is a manufacturing date and there is an expiration date. Similarly, other products also, even things like jam, anything, any food items you take, pickles, everywhere you'll find manufacturing date and expiry date. Whereas when it comes to human being, we only have our entry date into this world. We don't know. We are blind on our expiry date. We know for sure that we are going to die one day, but we don't know when. We don't know whether, we assume that it's going to be at least 80 years we will live, even though the Shastra says 100 years, but at least 80, if not 80, at least 70 or 60. But dear devotees, we are seeing that people die at a young age also. They die inside 50, they die inside 40, some die alpayusham, they die when they are at a very young age. Sometimes they die as an infant. As soon as they are born, they die, which means that the expiry date is not clear for anyone. So this is the main crux of the matter. Hmm? When people, so from here we can understand, at least, if we apply a little bit of common sense, we understand that there is some superpower. See, whatever man produces, like consumer products or medicines, we are writing the expiry date and they are writing the manufacturing date. But one that is coming from beyond our control. Now, it is not we who decide where we are going to be born, how we are going to be born. It is a supernatural power whom we call as God. So at least from here, common sense, we know that there are God, and yet there are atheists, or there are some scientific philosophers who say that there is no God. They say that life is a product of chemicals or matter. Life has come from Big Bang. Just the right chemicals mixed the right time it came. So if that is the case, we should know our expiry date for sure. If it is material, but because it is spiritual, there is some higher control. That particular part is kept secret from us. So this should give us an idea that there is a definitely some extra supernatural power whom we can call by different names, and we definitely say is God. And because of that, we are not, that particular thing is kept secret from us. But we all know for sure that we are seeing everyone dying at different times in their life. So basically, Arjuna is asking this six questions. It is 7 or 8 questions. So let's see that. So the first question. So now in verse number 3, what Krishna says. Now Krishna is answering now. He says, Sri Bhagavan Vacha Aksharam Brahma Paramam Swabhavo Adhyatmam Uchyate Bhuta Bhavadbhava Karo Visarga Karma Samyitaha. So Krishna says here that the destructible, the transcendental living entity is called Brahman. So he's answering the first question of what is Brahman. And that is the first question that he asked. Kim Tad Brahman, if you remember the first verse. So he's saying that indestructible, transcendental living entity is called Brahman. And then Kim Adhyatmam is answered now. He says that Swabhavo Adhyatma Uchyate. And what does that translate to? His eternal nature. That is the nature of this Brahman, eternal nature. Swabhava is called Adhyatma. And then this Brahman basically is Bhuta Bhavot Bhavo Karo. That means he performs action, and then which this action which is performing defines his bodies, material bodies. That means he is constantly changing bodies from one body to another body, and that is determined by certain action. That is so that answers the question of Kim Karma. What is that action? Hmm? That is Visarga Karma Samyataha. That means this is nothing but karma, he actions. So basically, Krishna answers three questions here. One is Kim Tad Brahman, Kim Adhyatman, and also Kim Karma. These three are answered here. So Brahman, you can see in this slide, we should understand a little bit. There is something called as Brahman, and there is also Para Brahman. So Brahman is basically we, the living entities. In simple terms, Brahman, we, the living entities, also technically called as Atma or Jivatma or individual soul. And then the properties or the qualities are also mentioned here. What is that? He says it is Aksharam, that is indestructible, eternally existing. Sabhavo. So eternally, transcendental nature is eternal. And also we should remember that we are the marginal energy of the Lord. So the Lord has got three energies, primary energies. One is Antaranga Shakti, that is internal energy. Then Bahiranga Shakti, that is the external energy. And then there is something called as a marginal energy, that is Tatastha Shakti. So we, the Jivatmas, come under the marginal energy. So because we are marginal energy, we are neither belonging to the internal energy nor we are belonging to the external energy. External energies are basically his illusory powers or what we call as Maya. And the internal energy is his internal Shakti. That is Ladini Shakti and so whatever Krishna's internal potency, that is what actually is the spiritual nature. So primarily this Jivatma, which is the Tatastha Shakti is like the there is an ocean on one side, there is a land on one side, and there is a small demarcation in between that belongs sometimes to the ocean, sometimes it belongs to the land, depending upon which side the pendulum is swinging. So Jivatma has got this small individual free will to choose between this and between that. If he chooses to go towards the spiritual nature of the Lord, then he gets associated with the spiritual energy. If he chooses to go to the material energy of the Lord, then he gets associated with the material energy. And then that is the Maya. Okay. So this is exactly what whereas the Parabrahman is the Lord himself. So there are two things, Brahman, we the Jivatma, and Parabrahman, that is superior Brahman or the supreme Lord who is Achyuta. Okay, he is the purest of the pure. He can never fall into this material world. Okay, he can take forms, various forms, but then he doesn't belong to this world. He actually creates this world. He never assumes the form of any ordinary person. He never assumes the form of any ordinary jiva because he's above that. He's above the three modes of material nature. So this part has to be very clearly understood. So Adhyatma, what Arjuna is asking, what is Adhyatma? This is explained very nicely here. It's the self, that is the Jivatma, this eternal nature of the self, and the material consciousness that we all there, the nature is to try to lord over the material nature. It's our internal nature that we try to lord over the material nature. Whereas in the spiritual consciousness, we basically we have got spiritual consciousness also, and that spiritual consciousness is right now covered by the material consciousness. And when we practice spirituality, that spiritual consciousness gets revealed to us, and that means the original position is revealed to us, and then our original relationship with the Lord is also getting manifested to us. And then we know that we have to serve the Supreme Personality. So the role of Brahman is to serve Para Brahman. Jivera Swarupe Krishnera Nityadas. So these are the two different terms that has to be very clearly understood. So you can say that the Jivatma is having a body, and the body is obtained by different karma, and there are different types of body, as we can see in the next slide, which is coming from different activities. So karma we understood so far in the previous chapters as just the action, but karma has got a very broad meaning also. So this action is not just about the action. It is basically something that you are now creating for your next life. Hmm? That means the action that is created by a force of material consciousness. That means you have developed a material consciousness which is making you, by the influence of the three modes of nature, to act in a particular way. And by acting in a particular way, you get the body in the next life. So this is a complete chain reaction. For example, let's say we perform various types of yagya. Okay, yagya is done to please the demigods. The demigods are pleased, then you get promotion, and you do all the pious activities, and you go to the heavenly planets. Now, what happens in the heavenly planets? You enjoy all the heavenly benefits, and then all your pious credits are exhausted in the heavenly planets. And once the pious credits are exhausted, then you fall down again into the earth planet. And how do you fall down? You come through the rain, and through the rain, you enter into the grain crops. And the grain is now entering into the semen of the man. And when the semen is impregnated into the woman, she gets impregnated, and then we enter into the womb of the mother. And from there, once again, we enter into the cycle of birth. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. So this cycle keeps on continuing. And this cycle is decided by the consciousness that we adapt in our present life and also in the past life. So this is the whole cycle of transmigration of understanding this karma. And that is what actually, when Arjuna is asking, Kim karma, this whole thing is actually a process. That means it's a varied creation. No, by the it's a varied activity which is created by the material forces that force you to act in a particular way, and that results in a particular body. And there are 8.4 million bodies. Hmm? And human body is the rarest, because human body, there are 4 lakh types of human body. Out of 8.4 million, there are 4 lakh type of human bodies, or consciousness, you can say. And we are so fortunate in that to have got a human body, because that's the rarest form. And having got the rarest form, now we can understand this entire cycle, and we don't want to slide down now. We don't want to go down to any other body, because again, it will take us into a big chain of activities. So we should understand that sometimes, even though we are pious, we are suffering, because it is a reaction of the previous life, or maybe few lives before that. Like in the case of Mahabharata, you see that Dhritarashtra was born blind. Hmm? So what was his fault? And then it is understood from Shastras that some 100 lives before, he committed the sin of poking the ant with the grass. And then he poked around 100, such he did 100 times like this. And then this came in the form of 100 children, and then it came in the form of blindness for him. So this happened after 100 lives for him. So you can imagine the karma can act much later also, because what you have done in the previous lives, you don't know. So in the present life, you might be a very nice, respected, pious person, but still you're suffering. It's because of some action you have performed in the past, which was not in line with shastric injunction. It was a vikarmic activity. That is what it is giving you a chain reaction this time. So once we understand that, then we perfect our activities, and then we know that this is not my goal. My goal is not to go back to the heaven and again fall down. My goal is to go beyond the heavenly planets. I want to go beyond the heavenly planets, means I want to go to the Vaikuntha planets now. And because why you want to go to Vaikuntha planets? Because once you go there, they are eternal. You will not come back again. You are not in the material universe realm. You are in the spiritual universe realm. Out of Lord's creation, 3/4 of the creation is spiritual, 1/4 of the creation is material. So we are now hovering in this 1/4 creation. In that, there are 14, there are so many universes. Each universe has got 14 planetary systems, and we are in the middle. Earth is, Bhuloka is in the middle. So then there are Swarga Loka, Tapa, Mahajana, Brahma Loka, Satya Loka, and then there are hellish planets beyond, that's Patal planets below this Earth planet. So we have suffered all that, and we have come to a stage of realization now. So we should purify our karma also. So why I went into this detail? Because this particular action that Krishna is mentioning is probably the last time he'll explain in detail of this karma. Otherwise, we'll be entirely in this karma bandhan. So the cycle of fall down will keep on acting upon us, and we will not be able to come out of the Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi cycle. So then in 8.4, Krishna now answers the remaining three questions. Remaining four questions. He says, Adi Bhutam Sharo Bhavo Purushas Cha Adi Daivatam Adi Yagyo Aham Evatra Deha Deha Britam Vara. So here, now Krishna answers the remaining four questions of Arjuna. What was that? Adi Bhutam Sharo Bhavo. That means there was a question that Arjuna asked. Adi Bhutam Chakim Proktam. In the second verse, if you remember. So now Krishna says Adi Bhutam Sharo Bhavo. That means this physical nature is something which is Adi Bhutam Ksharo Bhava. So Akshara is something that is constant, not changing. Shara is something that changes. So it's the physical nature of Adi Bhutam. Adi Bhutam is basically constantly changing physical nature. That means the material manifestation is constantly changing. That is what he's saying. Then he's saying Purushas cha Adi Devam. So Purushas means, so he's now talking about Adi Devam. So there was a question by Arjuna, Adi Devam kim uchyate. So here now he's saying Purushas cha Adi Devam. That means Purushas. So Purusham is basically the universal form. The Lord's universal form, or if some people say it's an imaginary form of the Lord, which includes all the planetary system. As you can see in the middle picture, there is demigods, there are planetary system, there is sun, there is moon, there are hellish planets, heavenly planets, all that. If you see Brahmaloka, if you make a form, that is a universal form, or you can say Vishwaroop or Virat Roop. That is also called as Adi Daivam. And then the third thing is Adi Yagyo. Adi Yagyam Aham Evatra. Krishna says, I am the Supreme Lord. And where am I present? Deha Deha. So I am represented in everybody's heart. That means I am the super soul seated in everybody's heart. I am called Adi Yagya. So Krishna is making it very point blank clear, because the question was Adi Yagya Katam Ko in the previous verse. So Krishna is answering that also. And Deha Deha Vritam means, oh, best among the embodied human beings. So let us understand it a little bit more. Adi Bhutam. So when Krishna says Adi Bhutam Ksharo Bhava. So what is that constantly changing? So we should know that this material body is constantly engaging into 6 different types of transformation. We are constantly changing. Dehinosmi nita dehe kaumaram yo vanam jara tata dehantara prapti dhira tatra muhyati. So what are the 6 transformation every living being has? As you can see in the bottom picture, bottom tier of the picture here, there is a birth, there is a growth, then it stays as for some duration, then it produces byproducts, then it what is called as dwindles, and then it vanishes from this place. So 6 stages. So birth, growth, staying for some time, then byproducts, dwindling, and then vanishing. You take any creation in this world, any living creation, they all have to undergo, material body has to undergo this 6 transformation in life. So this is Adi Bhutam Sharo Bhavo. And Adi Devam, Krishna explains as it's a universal form. This is primarily universal form is for people who do not perceive him as a super soul. So then they have to give a, Krishna gives an imaginary form. Krishna explains that this explained actually in Bhagavatam, where the universal form is explained, and there it is clearly explained by the acharyas also that people who are advanced devotees, they can directly see Krishna here in the heart, okay, as super soul, as Paramatma. But people who are not advanced, for them, Krishna creates this kind of a imaginary. So when he in Mahabharata, when he shows that Vishwa Rupa or Virat Rupa, huh, that is basically Adideva form of the Lord, where he shows the sun and the moon as the eyes, and Brahmalok as the head, and all the Patal Lok as his legs and feet, and so on. And then Adi Yagya. So, and where does Adi Yagya reside? This is important question that Arjuna is asking. So, Adi Yagya. So, typically, in the material universe, the the Lord of Yagya is Indra. So here it is Adi Yagya. So Adi Yagya is Lord Himself. Both Bhoktaram Yagya Tapasam Sarva Loka Maheswaram. So of all the universe, if you combine the material universe and spiritual universe, the Adi Yagya is Lord Vishnu himself, Krishna himself. So, and then he says that I am present as Paramatma, as super soul. So where do I live in the body? I live as Paramatma, close to the heart of the Jivatma. That is what he is saying. And the super soul is seated beside the individual soul as Paramatma. And this analogy is given in one of the famous Upanishads as Katha Upanishad. So in that he says that it's like a tree where there are two parrots or two birds sitting. One is a eating bird, one is a witness bird. So the eating bird is the Jivatma, or we the living beings, and the witnessing bird is Paramatma, or the Supreme Personality. So the witnessing bird has got two activities primarily. One is Upadrishta, other one is Anumanta. So Upadrishta is something like he is overseeing the activities. Anumanta is sanctioning. So he is also our sanctioner. Even though we have a small free will, ultimately the sanctioning comes from him. Whatever is your free will, you know, the child sometimes cries for something. Now, if the parents feel that this is not good for the child, they will refuse to give it. But the child continues to cry, and he cries so much that then the parents ultimately give way. Okay, you take this, but you are going to suffer because of it. But I'm giving it to you because you're asking for it. Okay, like if the child goes near the fire, the parents would tell, "Don't go there. There's a fire. It will burn your finger." But if the child does not obey and puts his or her finger on the fire, then the child will face the consequences. So, like that, the Lord is sitting like a second bird near close to our heart, close to the Jivatma as Paramatma. And at an advanced stage, the Jivatma can hear his voice. You know, I once heard a class of a famous management guru, Stephen Covey. All of you must have heard of Stephen Covey, the 7 habits of highly effective people. So when he introduced the eighth habit, from effectiveness to greatness, I was fortunate to attend that from my company, and it was a massive conference in Oberoi Towers. This is in 2008 when he launched the book, and there he said the eighth habit is hearing your inner voice. But he did not elaborate what is that inner voice. So I got up and I told, because I had some knowledge of Bhagavad Gita then, I told him this is same like what our Bhagavad Gita teaches us. And Bhagavad Gita is what it is teaching, that hear your voice, inner voice. And that inner voice, somebody's mic is on. Can you kindly mute yourself, please? Thank you. So this inner voice is nothing but Paramatma who is guiding us. Each time Paramatma is guiding us. So that is your inner voice. So non-devotees who are or atheists, either they ignore that inner voice or they cannot hear that voice. It's so sad. And as a result, they end up doing sense gratification activities and a lot of time pass activities. And as a result, they misuse their free will. As I had said in one of my previous classes, B, C, D. That means B is fixed, birth, death is fixed, death, D is fixed, that is death, and there is C in between B and D. That C is a choice that the Jivatma has to make, or the free will. We all have free will, that's a limited free will to choose our activities. And this decides where we'll take our next birth. This decides how we will die. So the C is very, very important. And the C is what Bhagavad Gita is trying to address, so that we get a proper B in the next life, or we don't get B at all, we directly go to him, or we are able to get a proper glorified D, death. Now we come to verse 5. That's very, very important, popular verse. And this is the verse that is going to, uh, more or less define our life. And this is the secret of our final exam. If we understand this verse properly, we pass the exam. Otherwise, we fail. And failing the exam means, again, we are stuck in this material universe. Antakale chamam eva smaran muktva kalevaram ya prayati samadbhavam yati nastyatra samshaya. So here, this is like a verdict or like a promise, because Krishna says, Yati nasti atra samshaya. That is na samshaya. There is no doubt. There is no doubt. I am giving you a promise of what? I am giving you a promise of the supreme destination. You can come to me. Here's an opportunity. You can come to me. Antakale cha maam eva. He's saying at the end of the life, what do you need to do? Just smaran mukta kalevaram. At the time, you just, when you are leaving your body, smaran muktva kalevaram, ya prayati samadbhavam. So when you remembering, you just, yeah, antakalicha mameva, just remember me, no one else. When your end comes, antakalicha mameva, just me and nobody else. Not even your near and dear ones, not your bank balance, no way. Not your enemies, not even your friends. Because all these things will only pull you back in this material world. You have to practice detachment from them. Your work is over. And then you remember the next level now. Now, this, dear devotees, easier said than done. Antakalecha Mameva. It looks so simple. Antakalecha Mameva. Just remember Krishna, and then you go back to him. Smaram Mukta Kalevaram. At the time of leaving the body, Ya Prayati Sa Madbhavam. You at once attain my nature. And of this, there is no doubt. Oh, Krishna. Oh, Arjuna is saying this. So, Krishna is giving this particular thing. So, he is trying to address our crisis. He knows precisely what is our crisis, and sadly, we don't know what is our crisis. We have forgotten. We are like the goat in the slaughterhouse. We are seeing another goat being slaughtered, and we are enjoying eating the grass without knowing that our turn will be next. That's a sad part. And we are forgetting that our turn will become, or our turn will ever come. We think that we will never die. That's the worst part, because we are lording over the material nature presently, and we are happy with it. With all the comforts that Krishna has given us, we have forgotten him. We have climbed the ladder and we have kicked the ladder out. And then we are flying high now. So this is the crisis. So, and the worst crisis is, Krishna says, is yet to come. And the worst crisis, dear devotees, is that at the time of death, our body functions will completely get disrupted. Our throat will completely choke. Our kapha, pitta, vayu, our mucus, bile, air, everything will choke to such an extent that Srila Prabhupada says the pain that one experiences at time of death will be equivalent to the biting of 40,000 scorpions. So where is the question of remembering Krishna at that time? Where is the question? We are in so much of pain, our senses, our mind will go haywire completely. So recently there was a death in our one of our distant family members, and he was a very healthy person. It happened in the native place, and his wife said that he was very healthy and he had his dinner, and he was about to go to bed like usual at 9:30, and just after dinner he sat when everything looked fine. Suddenly he just told his wife, he just showed like this. That means his head is spinning. and he could not express beyond that. And then next moment he fell down and his tongue was, completely stuck in a particular place. It was pulling inside, it was drawing out, and nothing he could do. And she was a witness to all that. So this is the reality. This is the reality. Because our entire senses mind will get completely disturbed. We will not know what to do at that time. So this is the crisis. So at that time, where is the possibility of remembering Krishna? Tell me. How can we remember Krishna? No way. Nothing. So what will happen is, whatever we have practiced the entire life, they actually come like a reel. Now we are watching social media, the various reels. We keep on watching. We are enjoying the reels. Our life reel will come in front of us. And the moment the reel stops, that is where we depart. And we don't know where it will stop. It could be one of the bad activities that we have done in the life. If it stops there, imagine what will be our plight. Antakalecha mameva. There's no mameva. Where is the Krishna mameva? So here we have to remember, on the other hand, if we remember Krishna and we leave him, we get his nature. And what is Krishna's nature? Krishna has got 8 qualities. One is he's sinless, he's ageless, he's deathless, he doesn't have any grief, there is no hunger for him, there is no thirst, he's always blissful, and all the desires are instantly fulfilled. These are the 8 nature of the Lord, which one can attain instantly when we think of him at the time of death. Now, somebody, an oversmart person, will say, okay, wait a minute. Krishna said just to remember him at the time of death. Okay, I will remember him at the time of death. So it is like telling, a person who has to pass IIT examination or in flying colors, or he has to get a rank in IIT to get a proper thing, to telling that, okay, last 1 month, I'll prepare for IIT examination, or maybe last 1 week is enough and I'll pass. No preparation. Is there any way that such a person can prepare? Then why are you putting this condition for the most important examination? It is said that life is preparation, and death is examination. So that is the most important examination of life, and we are not even bothered. We don't know our expiry date. It is like a ticking time bomb. At least Maharaj Parikshit had 7 days. So he could sit and hear Bhagavatam from Sukhdev Goswami for our benefit. We are getting that benefit now. Similarly, Maharaj Katwanga, he got some time when he got blessed benediction that he's going to die in 1 muhurta, that is 48 minutes. So immediately he wound up all his activities and he completely became spiritual to remember the Lord. What about people like us, common man? Can we remember? No way. So therefore, Prahlad Maharaj is saying that devotional activities must begin at a childhood. Kaumaram acharet pragyo. It should begin at a very young age, tender age of 5. We cannot try to cheat Krishna that we will remember you, Krishna, at the time of death. If you try to cheat Krishna, Krishna is a bigger cheater than you. He will ensure that something else comes, real comes in front of you and you stop your moment at that particular time. So Smaranam, or remembrance of Krishna at the time of death, is the only way to go back to him. It cannot be a 2 days affair. It has to be a continuous, life process. So here we see that the example of Ajamil. The Ajamil was a case where he was basically a Brahmana who had a very nice upbringing, good culture, full rich in Vedic knowledge, very mild, respectful to his parents, very clean, regulated. Sadachar was very good. Suddenly, what happened was, when he was sent into the forest for errands by his father to collect some flowers for his daily puja, by the will of the providence, he saw a provocative scene where he saw uh, a couple, that is a prostitute and a person, in a very compromising position. And this picture was coming in front of him again and again and again, and his senses got agitated. See, from a very nice Brahmana, just by seeing this picture, Dehato Vishayan Pumsa, he got agitated, his senses got agitated. And then to such an extent that he went to that prostitute, he left all his sadhana, and then he told the prostitute to marry him. And he brought that prostitute home, and he married her, and he threw out his parents from that home. And from there, his entire life changed. From a very nice sadachar, his life became completely transformed into intoxicated life, and his fall down started from there. And he married several times. He had a lot of children, and from that prostitute, he had a son. At the age of 88, he had a son, and that son's name, somehow by the destination, he named him as Narayan. And that boy was so beautiful that he started loving him, cuddling him, and he called him every now and then, Narayan, please come here, Narayan, please play with me. He developed an attachment for him. So in the process of attachment towards him, he automatically started calling his name. Every time that name was Narayan, he kept a spiritual name to that child. So in the process, unknowingly, he accumulated agyat sukruti, or unknowingly he accumulated piety. And this transformed at the time of death. When at the time of death, these Yamaduts were coming and threatening to pull his soul out of the body, he was completely terrified. And then in that mood, he said, Narayan, please come here, please help me. Narayan, please come here. Now remember, he was not remembering the Narayan God. He was remembering just Narayan, his son. But that was enough for Yamaduts, because he said Narayan. So immediately the Vishnu Dut started coming down. And then there was a debate between Vishnu Dut and Yamadut. The Vishnu Duts arrived because, oh, you called Narayan, we are also there. And the Vishnu Duts and Yamadut, they had, arguments. Who should claim him? So Yamadut said, naturally they should claim, because he has lived a life so abominable and then he deserves to be punished. So we'll drag him right now and we'll take him to the test of Yamaraj, and then he has to undergo all the severe test, punishment, etc. But the Vishnu Dut said, wait a minute. At the end, he said Narayan. Now, if he said Narayan, that means he's a devotee. So you have got no right. That means we have to only take him, because Krishna says Antakalecha Mameva. So he has done the Smaranam of Vishnu. So he has passed the examination. So we have got the right. So in logically, they defeated Yamaduts, and they claimed over this thing, and they gave a life to, they gave another life to this Ajamil. So Ajamil suddenly became awake and he realized his entire mistake. And then he once again lived a life of a very good devotee. He got back his devotional qualities and he led a life, and he went back to Vaikuntha after that. So this is the power of Antakalecha Mameva, because when we do Smaranam, Krishna says, you come to me, Mad Bhavam, you'll attain my nature. So one should not, the awakening that Ajamila got, through his regret, and then after that he dedicated his life, he went to Haridwar, and then he dedicated his life to do Smaranam, and ultimately attained Bhakti Yoga. So this is one cannot say that because Ajamil did that, we'll also become Ajamil's, we'll follow his footsteps. No. We'll enjoy the best of material world also, and we'll get this also. No, it cannot happen. Ajamil's case is an exception. Okay. It will not happen to anybody else. There's no other case mentioned in the Shastras that people did that and they got Vaikuntha Loka. No. Ajamil's was an exception. But for anybody else, it is only practice for the entire lifetime. We come now to the sixth verse, and that verse is Yam Yam Vapi Smaran Bhavam Tejati Ante Kalevaram Tam Tame Vaiti Kaunteya Sada Tad Bhava Bhavitaha. So this is now continuation of the previous verse. You can see, because previously what Krishna says, Antakalecha Mameva Smaran Muktva Kalevaram. So then now he says that So Arjuna says, wait a minute, what happens to the person who doesn't remember you, but he remembers something else? Then what happens? Does he pass the final examination? So now Krishna answers, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam, whatever state you remember, tajati ante kalevaram, at the time of death, tam tam evati kaunteya. That stage, O son of Kunti, sada tad bhava bhavitaha, you will attain without fail. So this is now, you should put both the verses together. The first verse he says, if you remember me, you come to me. The second verse, the verse 6, he says, if you remember something else, you get that state of life. You become that state immediately. So this is what we had described some classes back as the dear moment. If you remember, it was one of your reflection questions I had given. The impressions that we form across our lifespan. And the example, best example here is Bharat Maharaj. I'm not going to once again go into the life of Bharat Maharaj because we have discussed this in detail in one of my earlier sessions. How Bharat Maharaj, after renouncing his kingdom, became a wonderful devotee practicing in the forest until he developed a compassion for for a mother deer who was pregnant, was running in fear of the lion. She delivered in fear, and she jumped aside the river and she died. And the baby deer was all alone. Bharat Maharaj developed compassion, took her, and then the rest is history. He developed so much of love that Antakale cha mam eva yam yam vapi smaran bhavam. So he started remembering the deer at the time of death. Oh, where is my deer? The little deer, where it is gone? The beautiful deer. And then what happened? The next life he became a deer. Tejati ante kalavaram. So he became a deer. Now, fortune for him at the time of deer, he could remember all the things that he did as Bharat Maharaj. He could remember his devotional activities. And then the following third life, he became Jada Bharat. And Jada Bharat is a case where he was very, very determined that now I'll not commit any sin. Now I'll not commit any mistake. I'll be very sober. I will act in a Jada way. That means Jada means like a fool. Let people talk rubbish about me. I will not budge one bit. I'll not. I'll be acting like a dumb dead person, so that I can be focused. Actually, he was very very learned. He got all his intelligence back, and then he went back home to Vaikunta. So here Krishna clearly says that the distractions, that is our dear moment. The distractions that we come across in life, they form an impression, dear devotees. So please guard against the distractions, and the distractions for us in the life are actually vast. Hmm? It can be the social media, it can be newspapers, it can be movies, it can be TV shows, Netflix, chats, any sort of activity. It can sometimes even be your own family members. You're attached to your wife, you're attached to children, your society, your nation. So many things. Everything is an attachment. Or some people have pets in their homes like dog. Prabhupada said Jawaharlal Nehru was so much attached to his dog that when he died in his office, remembering his dog, in the final moment when he was dying in his office, he wanted to see his dog. He wanted to take the darshan of his dog, pet dog. So, which means, as if you go by the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita, he has become a dog in the next life. So, yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tajatyante kalevaram. That is sure, we'll get that. So, this is, we have to guard against that. So basically we have to develop the art. So it calls for a paradigm shift. We should become serious. We cannot leave it to the end of the life. We have to become serious. We have to pass this examination. There is nothing like 50% marks and then you grace marks, and nothing. Either you pass or you fail. Okay, we go to the last verse of the day, that is 8.7, and this verse says, now this is very good. Krishna is giving us the secret lock. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu. So now primarily Krishna understands our plight and is giving us a simple practical solution. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhya cha Maya arpita mano buddhir mam eva isyasi asamshaya. So now he is telling Arjuna very clearly, Tasmad, therefore, Arjuna, Sarveshu Kaleshu, at all times, what you should do? Mam Anusmara, and then you do Yudhya. Always think of me, and then you go to fight. He does not say that you leave your fight, come to the forest, and just do meditation and think of me. No, he doesn't say that. He says you have to do your Swabhavik duty. You are a Kshatriya, you have to fight. But you think of me and then fight. Mam Anusmara. Yudhyacha. So this is the secret, dear devotees. You have to do your prescribed duty and then you have to parallelly think of him. How to do that? Mai arpita mano buddhir. So you dedicate your activities to me, Krishna says. Your mind and intelligence, you fix on me, you surrender to me. And if you do that, then mam eva isyasi asamshaya. Then you will attain me. And asamshaya, no doubt at all about that, for sure. So this is what. So dedicate all your activities to Supreme Lord. Keep the mind, intelligence, and uh, all the activities in the service of the Lord. Hmm? So we will see here how do you understand this practically. So Tasmat Sarveshu Kaleshu. So here one way we can think of is uh, the mother. Hmm? So you can imagine this example of mother who is doing multitasking activity. Like at home, she's cooking. In the office, she's working. Huh? Then she's traveling to her work. So she's doing multiple activities. She's sometimes doing some other activities also, like washing the clothes, cleaning the home. So different activities the mother is performing. But at each time, she may also think of the child. Like when she's working, her attention is on the work also, but she's thinking of her child. When she's cooking, she may also think of the child. So her anusmaram is always of the child. So this is a practical way you can see. So at that time, nobody tells her that how can you work without thinking of a child. Her mind is automatically drawn towards the child. When she sees the small chappal, she will remember her child. When she sees the toys scattered around, she'll remember the child. Hmm? So when she hears the voice in another room, she'll remember the child. So in every act of the mother will always constantly remember. So this is the bond, special bond, or the closest bond that comes to spiritual realm is the mother's love for the child. So Krishna basically here he says Tashmat Sarveshu Kaleshu. So always think of me before you do any activities. So if you are able to think of me all the time, and that is, in Kali Yuga, Mam and Nam are non-different because Sarva Dharmam Pratyagyo Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. So Aindra Prabhu says that Mam Eka Sharanam Vrajam is same as Nam Eka Sharanam Vrajam. So because in Kali Yuga, Kali Kale Nama Avatare, Krishna Nama Avatare, Kali Kale Nama Rupe, Krishna Avatare. The Krishna himself has come in the form of holy name. So therefore, our lips can constantly move. Like if you're working in the office, you can constantly, your mind can be engaged, your tongue can move. I was doing that when I was going for any board meetings and all. Before entering the meetings, I used to chant the holy name and go. And when I was sitting when I entering my office room, in my cabin, I used to have a small altar. I used to start my day by showing agarbatti and I was putting my flowers, offering flowers to the pictures of Krishna. So we are doing our work, but parallelly we are not ignoring, we are thinking of the Lord. Ma Manusmaram. All the time we are thinking. When we are having prasadam, okay, you can think of the Lord. Oh, this is the prasadam that my wife has cooked or my mother has cooked. So let me say Mama, this Ma Prasade Govinde before honoring prasadam. So that is another way of remembering Krishna. So in this way, we can surrender our mind, body, words, BMW, mind, body, words, entirely to Krishna. Manasa deho geho jek kichu more. Arpita tuya pade Nanda Kishore. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings in his Sharanagati. Arpito tuva pade Nanda Kishore. I am offering everything I am surrendering unto your lotus feet. So that should be our mood. So in this way, when we do have an internal focus and external action, internal focus is on Krishna, mind and intelligence fix. External action, externally what we are doing our activities, we are not asking anybody to stop their work. They should excel in their work, but they should be different from the rest. They should not be material consciousness, they should have spiritual consciousness. So spiritual consciousness, you do material activities because you have to maintain a body. Automatically at the time of death, one can remember Krishna and you can be transferred to Krishna Loka. That is the essence of this particular verse. So throughout the day, we practice, like we get up early in the morning, we reserve some time for chanting, and then in the end, before going to bed, we show the gratitude to the Lord that my day went very well. So we develop some good habits, and those habits should be oriented in Krishna conscious way. And remaining time, 8 hours, whenever working, you should be a very good worker also. So you're completely spiritual and you're dedicated your body to the work also. So in this way, Krishna says the final time comes, we will remember the Lord. That's a complete guarantee that is giving. And then we'll get our next destination. So slowly, transformation takes place. As some of you might remember, the 9 stages which I had explained in one of my classes, from the knowledge that we are getting, that is the information that we apply in our daily lives, application. So from information, we get application. We have to apply. And then once we apply, we do correction in our lives. Whatever adjustments we need to make, we correct. And with correction, we get purification. We purify our thoughts, we purify our senses. And when we do that, we are getting protection. Protection from the material urges. We are getting insulation from the outside negative thoughts. Then this purification leads to satisfaction. We are very satisfied. Internally, we are completely satisfied with ourselves. And this satisfaction gives us conviction, nishtha, that Krishna is my savior. Avashya Rakshibe Krishna, Atma Nikshepa. And that leads to transformation. So information, application, correction, purification, protection, then what? Satisfaction, correction, conviction, and then transformation. So this is the entire process one follows that will lead us to the final thought or the goal to remember Krishna at the time of death. And that is what, we want to follow this path and enter the ultimate destination. We don't want the dear moment at all, dear devotees. We don't want any detours. We don't want to see any other ways. This path should be very clear. This train is going to Goloka. Yes, it is stopping at stations. Yes, it is stopping to pick up more deserving devotees like we did last time. But each one of us is going to help one another to cross this ocean of material existence, and we are going to reach our destination. And finally, in Kali Yuga, as I'll play this small video which Prabhupada says.
Chant Hare Krishna, Krishna becomes immediately available. So even if you think that Krishna is far away, Krishna is not far away. Krishna is within you. He's not far away. He's far away at the same time nearest. So even if you think that Krishna is far, his name is there. And for making Krishna available in this shortcut way, there is no hard and fast rule. You can chant anytime. Immediately you get Krishna. The seal, the mercy of Krishna. Therefore, we chant Hare Krishna. Krishna be.
So that's the greatness of this. So I end the session today with this. And for us, we are so fortunate in Kali Yuga that we have Mahamantra as, Mahamantra is a personal form of the Lord. We just chant the holy name every time in whatever situation we are in, and Krishna is there dancing in your lips. Krishna is right now listening to all of us, and Krishna will be there to protect us. He will be there to guide us at all appropriate times so that we use the right intelligence at the right time. Okay, so I ended and I will quickly go to our fun time. What is the fun time? Quiz time. Let me share the quiz questions and we'll see how it shapes up today. Okay, 1 second. Just give me a moment. I'm just
Came out of screen sharing.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Visible now?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first question on the screen, according to our learning, the term Brahman refers to, all right, already two hands raised.
Yes.
Jivatma or the individual soul, Paramatma or the super soul, C, indestructible, eternally existing and subject to changing of physical bodies, D, internal energy of the Lord, E, all of the above. Yes, who raised the hand first? Was it
Saptadeep
Saptadeep or
was first.
Abhijit? Who?
Saptadeep.
Saptadeep. Yes, Saptadeep, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat.
It's
Sorry, what is the answer?
the answer is option A.
A.
Yes.
Option A. Sure. लॉक किया जाए.
A and C. I'll go. A and C.
A and C. So you
Yeah.
changed from
By
A to A and C.
yeah, hopefully by to changing of physical bodies, it means the physical means material bodies. So,
Okay.
yeah, taking that into account.
So A and C is what you want to now fix to.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Shall I lock it?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Let us see what is the answer. Yes, you are right. Very good. Well done. Very well done. Keep it up. You have very
Well done.
nicely. It's a carefully thought out, but then you really gave it a good shot. Let's go to question number 2. According to our learning, Adi Devatam here means all planets and demigods, the gigantic cosmic manifestation of the Lord comprising of all planets and demigods, the super soul as Paramatma seated in everyone's heart, the ultimate witness of all activities, none of the above.
It was Saptadeep who raised first, but since he has answered the first question, we can give it to Abhijit, who followed through.
Okay. So let's give a chance. Is it okay, Saptadeep? Okay, let's give a chance to Abhijit then. Yes, Abhijit, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. The answer is B.
D. D for Delhi?
Second.
B.
B for Bombay.
B for Balram. Okay. The gigantic cosmic manifestation of the Lord, right? Sure? Any second thoughts? Think carefully.
Both A and B can be the answer, I think now.
I don't know. You decide.
You can lock A and B, Prabhu.
A and B?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Tick, 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 tick. Oh, there is all of the above also. So you're anyway, you locked A and B, right? It is only B. Your first answer was right. Oh my God. Because see, A is only all planets and demigods. Doesn't mean anything. Whereas B says very clearly what the verse says. The gigantic cosmic manifestation of the Lord. That is Adidevam. So actually what you said first was right. So sometimes more thinking is the detrimental. Anyway, so I'm sorry, but then it was good to give a brain a good scratch. Let's go to question number 3. Okay, according to our learning, Adi Yagyo means Lord Indra, the chief of demigods, Lord Shiva, the destroyer of cosmic manifestation, Lord Brahma, the creator of this cosmic manifestation, Lord Vishnu, seated as Paramatma in everyone's heart. None of the above. Can we give Manisha a chance this time? Because both have
because
answered
Saptadeep will
previously.
answer. Correct.
So
Even
Manisha,
though she raised her hand last.
yeah, Manisha, it's your turn now.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dhanvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, it means the Lord of Sacrifice, so it will be Lord Vishnu seated in as.
Think carefully. Think carefully.
Adi.
You have to be very firm. If you say it is D only, I'll lock D.
Vishnu is the right answer, so Vishnu comes only in D. Lord of Sacrifice.
Okay, so shall I lock D?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Very good. Correct answer. Very nice.
Well done.
Keep it up. Well done. Conviction is good. Your conviction was very strong. See, sometimes I may just put you all in a quandary, like, by asking rethink. So you have to take a call. Okay, the fourth question on the screen. The secret to pass the final examination of death is to. Manisha, your hand is still up. Is it for the previous question or?
Sorry, Prabhuji, I just put down.
Okay, okay. The secret to pass the final examination is follow the footsteps of great Brahmana Ajamil, who got Vaikuntha after death. Follow the footsteps of great King Sage Bharat Maharaj. Achieve plenty of prosperity and success in material life by chasing it with determination. Pray to the Devatas for liberation and enter heavenly planets. None of the above. Yes.
Here, even though Saptadeep and Abhijit were first, since both of them have already answered, we can give it to Ramesh because he was third.
Okay. So there is also Ramesh and Janvi and Shanti also has
Shanti.
raised?
Yes.
Okay. So maybe we will give to Ramesh because I will request Shanti and Janvi to be a bit quick next time, but you will get a chance because both of you have tried, I think, last 2 times to raise the hand, but couldn't get the opportunity. So we'll give it to Ramesh and question 5 will give a chance to them also. Yes, Ramesh ji, go ahead.
Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji. The
Dandavat
answer is
Pranam.
E. None of the above.
Answer is E, none of the above. Okay, follow the footsteps. No. Okay, okay. Let us see. Yeah, sure. No, Prabhu.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Nice conviction. Very good. I like the tone. Wow, very good. Fantastic.
Well done.
Very nice. 3 out of 4 till now. Very good going. Okay, now we come to the last question of the day, and that is on the screen. The analogy of Mam Anusmara Yudhya. Okay. So there are various analogies I'll be giving. And you have to pick which one is analogy. Okay. Mother remembering Krishna's baby pastimes while taking care of her child. A carpenter remembering Lord making a nice altar for him in the temple. A kirtaniya singing Lord's bhajan in a temple. A soldier fighting in the battlefield remembering Krishna's instruction to Arjuna. All of the above. Okay, I'm looking for some new names now. I know
We can
several
give
of
it
you.
to
So I think Janvi and Shanti are the only
Janavi.
people who have not raised. I mean, who have
Correct.
not got a chance. I'll give this to Shanti because this is her first session. All of us have
Okay.
attended, but she's attending the session for the first time. So let's give a chance to her with the permission of all of the people who have raised their hand. Yes, Shanti Mataji, go ahead.
Hari Om.
Hare Krishna.
I think it is all of the above because we should be thinking of Krishna all the time, no matter what we are doing. As we do our activity, at the back of our mind, we should be thinking of him all the time, whether it's a mother or carpenter or soldier, anything, whatever we do, whoever it is, all activities at the back of our mind, we should be thinking of him. So I think it is E.
Okay, let's see what the answer is. You're given a nice answer, of course, I mean explanation. So let's see whether the answer matches your explanation. It does match. Very good. You're making a debut with a grand entry.
Dhanyavada.
Very good. So 50,
Yes.
50 bonus
Thank
points to you and all of the people who have won. And it's a very, very good. I'm happy for Shanti that first attempt was a successful one. Keep participating regularly, Shanti Mataji. We want your
Definitely.
nice presence also.
Yes.
Okay. So that was a good end to the quiz program. And now I'm just flashing the reflection question on the screen. This will be sent in the WhatsApp post. This is your homework, which you can think and answer in about 3 days' time. And the reflection question is, since the state of being we cultivate throughout our lives determines our consciousness at the critical. One second. I think that word is missing here. Since the state of being that we cultivate throughout our lives determines our consciousness at the critical moment of death, how can you practically balance your daily prescribed duties or your fight with the internal practice of constant remembrance, ensuring that your mind is not captured by material consciousness, but instead is fixed to the supreme? Now, I want you to reflect upon this statement by integrating these 3 points: your adhyatma, eternal nature, okay, then the adi yagya, the role of super soul in your life, and your material consciousness or the karma. I want to see your answer integrating these three, and then you give a reflective answer in the chat box. And you'll answer it directly to the speaker, to me, not in the group, because it completely clutters the group. So, and then back and forth, it keeps on going. So you can directly answer to me, and I shall respond to you after seeing your answer. Okay. So that with that we end today's session. With all my endeavors to end on time, still I did not succeed. I need to improve. But the only thing is that because it was the start of a new chapter, I had to give a summary of the previous chapter. That took away about 15-20 minutes time. So when we are in the same chapter, that kind of detailed summary will not be required. So I'm still trying to improve on the timing so that we can be more concise and fixed on that. And next week, we are reverting back to our Saturday time. So, Prabhu, are you available next Saturday?
No, Prabhuji, I'm not there.
Okay. So, I will let you know who is going to be the speaker. And in case if nobody is available, we'll give it a day off next Saturday. But I will try to get somebody. Either it's going to be me only, or we will try to get someone else. I'll let you know soon. And by within next 2 days, and then we'll announce that also. And that will be from verse 8.8 onwards till 8.15. Okay. Thank you all very much for joining today. Hope you had a nice, good weekend because it is Sunday evening there. For me, it is Sunday morning. And we shall meet again next Saturday. Until then, Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय. गुरु महाराज की जय. Thank you very much. See you all next time. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you, Saptadeep.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you,
Dandavat.
Prabhuji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.